So one of my good childhood friends who's a veteran called me a few weeks ago and told me about this huge crawfish boil that him and his buddies from the Army cook up every single Memorial Day. Well, I'm gonna head down to Missouri to meet up with them, see what it's all about.
My name's Tony Moore. I was a medic in the U.S. Army and served for 20 years and recently retired. I joined in July of 2000, started off basic training, airborne school, volunteered for the 75th Ranger Regiment, made that, went on to 3rd Ranger Battalion and served 7 years there. I did a total of 6 tours overseas. I did 4 in Iraq and 2 in Afghanistan. Then got off of active duty, went to the Army Reserves and served in various positions throughout St. Louis, and just finished up my career teaching ROTC at Washington University. So I've always wanted to join since I was a kid. I always liked military movies. My grandfather was in the Navy. My brother was he joined the Army. My dad was in the service. I always thought it was cool. Watched the videos, watched the Discovery Channel stuff, and I just always was kind of infatuated with that. So, and I thought, jumping out of airplanes and shooting guns and stuff was pretty cool.
My name is Eric Poulin. I served in 7th Group, 7th Special Forces Group. I was 18 Zulu. Got out of the military as a Sergeant First Class. We did a lot of drug war stuff down in Central and South America. I was actually in Africa. September 11th happened. I got deployed. I came back to the United States, obviously, took over a team, got deployed to Iraq. I did 4 deployments to Iraq, and I didn't deploy to Afghanistan. I missed the Afghanistan stuff. Got hurt pretty bad on one of my last tours, so I got sent home, and then I basically got out of the military after that.
My name is Nick Moore. I was in the 3rd U.S. Infantry, the Old Guard, stationed in Arlington National Cemetery from 2000 to 2004, and I was an infantryman, and we did casket team.
So the best thing about being in the military is, hands down, your buddies. I could pick up a phone and call a guy, and they'll be like, "Hey, come stay with me," and they can call me. Or if they need something, or I need something, I got a group of guys from the military. So hands down is the brothers that you meet. We've been in the worst situations ever, and cold, rainy, wet, starving, tired, and you're with these guys and somebody will crack some funny joke, and it's like, "This is why I love you, dude. That's why you're my brother." There's a good friend of mine, Steve, and we met in RIP, which is the Ranger Indoctrination Program, and we stood next to each other and made it to the course, ended up being the same platoon, still best friends today, and we always barbecued together. So everything we always did is, no matter if one guy doesn't go anywhere by himself, you always hung out together. So you're kind of with each other 24/7, so that is your family. Haven't seen some of the guys in a handful of years, and if we get back together, reconnect, it's like we never skipped a day, never skipped a minute, and we pick up right where we left off.
I remember when I was growing up, my dad had always said that, like, the best friends you'll ever make are your military friends. I'll say this sometimes, I'm like, there's guys that I wouldn't even be friends with. You might not like the person, but you all know that you're gonna do whatever it takes to kind of make sure that everything's good. Even if you don't like the person, it doesn't matter. In that situation, everybody goes through the same thing, and we all just look at it the same way.
We basically live together all the time. You become brothers. You actually, because I know that guy is going to put his life on the line for me, and I'm going to do the same for them. It's almost impossible to actually describe how it is, but was basically my last mission. We entered in a building. As I turned a corner, I got shot in the chest by a guy that was 2 rooms deep. I didn't see him. I had plates on, obviously. It hit my plates, knocked me out cold. The shooter actually shot the next 2 guys that came in the room, 2 guys that I lost from my team. And I ended up coming back to, like, waking up, and I was able to subdue the guy, the bad guy. I lost 2 guys on that mission. I got hurt pretty bad, and it was my last mission. I got sent home after that, and I got out shortly thereafter. So these guys, they don't have to be your best friends, but they're your brothers, like 100%.
So that's why we do this annual crawfish boil, which started from another friend of mine, my buddy Ricky. That was a Green Beret. He started us from Louisiana, and then he moved, and we just kept the tradition going.
This is Tony's 3rd year, I believe, doing it. Ricky was doing it before that, 3 or 4 at his house. He's from Louisiana, so he's like New Orleans boys. This is like year 7 or 8, and it's been great.
After talking with Tony, he told me there'd be in between 75 and 125 people that were going to stop by all day long. He definitely needed to add more corn, onions, celery, potatoes to the boil to make sure he could feed everyone. So we took a little trip to a town called Hollis Springs, which was about 5 miles away, and picked up some extra produce. A neighbor also dropped off some shrimp, a lot of seasoning, and of course that special blend. We thought it would be important to organize each vegetable in its own container so we have an exact count of how much we have and how much we can add in per drop.
So it's 9:44, second purge on the crawfish, and then we'll start chopping everything. We'll have the red potatoes. We'll throw the whole garlics in there. We'll quarter the onions, cut the mushrooms in half, and just chop the celery, and then quarter the lemons. And then, like I said, he has no recipe. He just throws stuff in a pot.
Now let the prep begin. We just sliced the potatoes in half, and guess what? Even I got in the mix to give Tony a little hand and make things go a little bit quicker. This is definitely bringing back memories of my old catering days, cutting up 50 pounds of onions, 100 pounds of potatoes, 25 pounds of shrimp, 10 celery stalks, and over 50 ears of corn. But I'm with good friends. We're laughing and sharing stories. And time flies when you're having fun because in no time, all the vegetables are prepped up. Now onto the sausage, which we just sliced up into 1-inch chunks. And for a little snack, Tony had some deer sausage. It was crazy good. Then for the most important part, the crawfish. Scooter's buddy drove up 75 pounds all the way from Louisiana, so they are as fresh as they could possibly be.
So we're gonna boil today, boys. So what we're gonna do here, we got some clean, they're already clean crawfish, but we're gonna purge them. So we put them in salt water and let them soak in the salt. And what that does, it makes them regurgitate and it gets all the bad stuff out of the body so they taste a lot better.
The process of purging the shrimp probably took in between 45 minutes to an hour, but you gotta constantly keep going back and checking out the water.
We're gonna let it drain out and the water should be a lot clearer. If it is, that'll be the last time we batch them, then they're ready to put in the bowl.
Memorial Day, it's funny because you always get people like, thank you for your service, whatever, and that's Veterans Day. It's not Memorial Day. Losing guys, I'm getting emotional here. Losing guys, Memorial Day it's for them. We honor the people that came before us, that gave us this freedom that we have, because we wouldn't be here without them. And when you lose guys that you know personally, it kind of changes your life forever. It's remembering the good times and the funny stories, and just honoring all those people with step aside for a second and just remember them, and just honoring their memory for sure. Like, never forget those guys, always. It exists because people had to die to give us this freedom that we have. Unfortunately, it's just the way it was. So we can have a good time and honor those people, celebrate their lives by us having a celebration ourselves. Yeah.
You know, Mike Hollander is a good friend of ours. I wasn't with him when he was killed, but he was a good friend of ours. So that's why Memorial Day is an important day to us, is because you would hear about the other guys in the other platoons or the other companies. Even if you knew the guy or didn't know a guy, it doesn't matter if it's a U.S. military member, but especially if they come from your, like, if you know them, even if you knew them from, like, you went to a training course with them, or you did this with them, they're in a different, like, platoon or whatever, and you hear about it, and it kind of hits you pretty hard. Memorial Day to us is the sacrifice that all these other people, not just me and my buddies, but our fathers, our mothers, our grandpas, you know, everybody that's served in any aspect of war, and let alone lost their life, is they provided that day off, that opportunity for us and, you know, Americans to have that day off, to be with their families, to be with their friends. And then, like, on Monday, there are a lot of family and friends that are missing a loved one that provided this opportunity to us. It's not about the barbecue, it is about the getting together, but having that opportunity to be free. And that's why this country is so great, is because we can do that. Nothing's gonna happen to anybody. Today, like when we're at the Crawfish Boil, we have a great time. We'll honor our buddies. So at 9, we'll get up, we'll start filling the pot. We'll start everything about 10 o'clock. We'll start boiling the pot. It takes about 45 minutes, an hour to get 20 gallons boiling. We have the spices. Scooter kind of takes care of all this. Step by step, we'll start dropping a different ingredient at a different time. And then at 12:30, we will drop our first pot.
So we're gonna put a couple of the crab boil and the crawfish boil powder in there. So we're gonna take a little bit of garlic. We're just gonna throw it in there.
Couple lemons.
It gives it a little bit of flavor. You won't taste like a lemon flavor, but it'll take the heat. It'll draw the heat out of the boil.
Now this is my type of cooking. Season till it tastes good. There's no recipes here. There's no agendas here. We're just trying to make really flavorful food and serve it up to the masses, and Scooter is doing a fantastic job of leading the way. And while all those flavors are marrying, Scooter just happened to have some boudin sausage, so we decided to cook it up. This is straight from Louisiana. It's got a wonderful combination of flavors. Got steak, chicken, rice. Honestly, if you can get a hold of this stuff and find it, I highly recommend it. Time to head back over to the pot. Things are tasting really, really good. Let's start dropping our first batch.
Good friend of ours, local kid, went to high school with him and played football and wrestled with Riley Baker, was killed in action, and that's another reason we celebrate, which Memorial Day means something special to this town.
When Riley was killed, Tony had already gone home. He was on leave. He came back for the funeral, but Tony was the one that called the VFW and said, he said, Mom, I want flags all over that town. I want flags all over town when he comes home.
It brings it home. And then I worked overseas, and I saw that table on every defect we ever went to.
It's called the Missing Man Table. It's a military tradition. You'll see there's a chair you can't sit in. You'll see there'll be an empty glass or half full glass. There will be some salt, there'll be lemon, there'll be a ribbon, there'll be a beret, and there'll be a Bible.
Thank you all for coming today. We always want to acknowledge when we host a party like this on Memorial Day. It's what's called the Missing Man Table. The table that stands before you is a place of honor. In setting this table, we acknowledge those missing from our celebration today, and we remember them. The table is small and set for one, symbolizing the vulnerability of a lone prisoner against his captors. The tablecloth is white, symbolizing purity of intention in responding to the nation's call to arms. The chair is empty, for they are not here. The wine glass is inverted. They cannot toast with us today. The slices of lemon, reminding us of their bitter suffering. The grains of salt, representing the countless tears of the families. The single red rose, reminding us of loved ones who keep the faith awaiting their return. The candle and yellow ribbon, symbolizing everlasting hope of a reunion with the missing. Remember, all who have served alongside them. We have donned the same proud uniform, being sworn into the same faith and allegiance. We will never forget their sacrifice. Until the day they return home or find eternal peace, we will remember them. So thank you all for celebrating today with us and remembering the soldiers that couldn't be here with us today. There's some photos on the food table of people who are special to us, friends who have been killed in action, either with Tony while he was overseas or who have also served in the military. That's what today is all about, and we just want everybody to remember that and acknowledge it. But we also want you to have fun and enjoy the food and the fellowship with all of our friends. So thanks for coming. Hey, babe.
Yeah. Take that off, the shell off, take that, all that comes off of it. This is their weekend, this is their day, and this is what it's about. Celebrating our heroes that give us the freedom to be able to do this every day in this country. That's exactly what it's about. Hey, Connor, let me know it's hot, buddy. It's hot.
Celebrations like this with friends and family, and remembering people that we lost.
Hey, are you done with both?
All these rights that they have is only given to them through these people sacrificing their lives for them.
I joined before 9/11. I was already in for a year, so there was no 9/11, no, the GWAT wasn't going on. I always admire a good portion of my friends that I met in the Army were all guys that joined because of 9/11, because the planes hit the building, and they joined within days after 9/11. And these guys were in college, they had careers, they're doing, you know, they all had lives. I was just in high school, and I always looked up to those guys because they put their lives on hold for this country, all because of 9/11. I was just a guy, you know, like I was walking around with heroes, like the guys that I idolized. So I was just there, you know. I was not really nervous because like you're walking around with professionals, and just guys that are just like the best at everything. I did one tour and I couldn't even buy a beer yet. I wasn't even 21. But the guys that are in charge of you, like, I mean, we have the best of the best. So you're not really nervous. But one that would stick out to me would be probably my last deployment, just because it was just so busy. And we were out every night doing stuff every night. And you never really got a chance to like, kind of like digest it. And like I said, man, we were kids. Me and my buddies were the medics, you know. We'd go work on these guys, and we'd be working on, say we took a casualty or multiple casualties, whatever. Just medics, we're not doctors, and we can only do so much. They'd be like, "Hey, you got him?" And it's like, "No, man. Like, what if I didn't? What if we don't have him? You know?"
We don't hear a lot of the stories he tells, and we try to sneak up a little alongside of him and listen. He never tells us anything, very seldom. We went to Georgia to see him one time after he came home from deployment, and he introduced us to several of his friends, and three of them said, "You're Doc Moore's parents?" He said, "He saved my life." Three of them. And his sergeant said, "Come with me." And he said, "I got a 5-gallon bucket of wards and whatever. And Tony won't come get him." He said he just did his job.
Heading home from the weekend, and it's really hard to put in perspective everything, because I came for a crawfish boil, and really I'm leaving with an overwhelming sense of pride and gratitude for this country and all the men and women that died to defend it. And you still see the incredible heartache, and it just cuts them so deep on the stories and the faces those folks just told. I mean, they lost friends over there, dear friends, and they were the ones that got to come home. And this holiday means so much to them. It's definitely given me a newfound appreciation for it as well, without a doubt. And the other big thing I'm walking away with is my childhood friend Tony. While he doesn't talk about it a lot, he's a hero. I mean, he is 100% hero. All those guys are. And honestly, I could not be more proud.